So this is gonna be a little tutorial about just making simple redirection project in Laravel. So in fact it will just redirect the user to its original URL, but actually it's a very simple one and we can make it in like 5 minutes or so. So let's just get started. First thing you have to do is just go to the website of Laravel and just look at the way the installation works, okay? I'm going to be using the latest version, which is 5.1, and for installing it I will actually use Composer, which is the function create project. For this you will actually need Composer. You can Google it and you can just install it on Windows or even Linux, doesn't even matter. So let's just get ahead of it and first of all install Champ or whatever other web server you got in your computer. I'm using Champ, as you can see here. And the first thing we're gonna do is simply install a Laravel project. In my case, first of all, let's go to my local driver. And the Champ folder, it's my Champ 3 folder. I got simple other files for it, and let's go ahead and navigate to the Champ folder. We navigate into the HD docs, which is inside this one, and we can see all of my current projects over there. So I will be just using the folder work or even web maybe. And once you are in the project folder you want to be using, simply just type Composer create project Laravel / Laravel space. You can actually set the name of the project here. Here it's not told, but it's good to just place it there. So in fact we can, for instance, use like redirector or whatever, and to be honest it's pretty much simple if we just use the distributions. So simply just write down prefer dist, and once you got everything typed on, just simply press enter. This might take a little while, but only the first times, because it will need to download all the Laravel files, and that might take some time. But once you install it once, the following installations will go quite faster, because it will load things up from the cache and you will not need to download them again. So let's just wait till this is done. I'm actually using a outdated Composer version, but anyway, it works. The first thing we will need to do here is have your own text editor, which I'm going to be using Atom, and we will open the project using this editor, and we will be able to simply edit the files from here without even touching single files and stuff. So yeah, we need to wait till the latest version is installed. As you can see, there's a newer version, the 5.1.11, which needs to be downloaded because I never worked with that one. So it seems like Laravel is already downloaded, but now it's loading the repositories package informations. So let's say that you will not need to download all the dependencies from it, so simply let it flow and just wait for it. So in fact we cannot do anything while this happens, so we'll just wait a little bit. Meanwhile you can actually open your PHP MyAdmin or whatever database you're actually using and simply create a database on it. So in my case I will be using like redirector or wherever I type that. Yeah, redirector. So simply create it. Once we create it, we should see the database here. You can actually press on it, and we cannot start putting anything there because the first thing we will do is just migrate everything Laravel have into this current database. So in fact, let's just wait for Laravel to install this, which might take a while. Alright. Now, as you can see, I've previously worked with these versions, so now they can be loaded from the cache, and that will actually go much faster. So just wait for it. Some files will need to be downloaded, of course. And obviously the framework itself. Laravel actually needs like a lot of packages and stuff like that, but it's pretty good because you got everything you need how it needs. Once everything is loaded up, there's an easy way to like start coding and stuff like that. So it actually makes everything much simpler, and that is appreciated, you know. Alright, so it seems like Laravel is just installed, and now it's generating the class loader and the application key. As you can see, the application key will be used for encryption stuff, and we better not touch it because it's randomly generated every time you install Laravel project. So okay, now we just need to make sure the folder is created. In my case it's the redirected one, so we move on it. Alright, now we are in the redirected file. This is the Laravel project, and we can actually see like an artisan file here, which we can actually use to run PHP commands into the command line. Okay, first thing we're gonna be doing is just PHP artisan space and just type migrate. But first, before migrating, we will actually need to set up the database configuration for our Laravel project. So in fact, we just have to open the folder, which in my case is in web redirector. Now this will load a project up, and you can see an end file here. This one will actually have all the configuration our project needs. In our case, we're gonna be using the database information, so simply change the database name we created before, so redirector in my case. Now we're gonna be using the username of your database, which in my case is root, and the database password, which is Èrik. Alright, we're gonna be using this information, so simply save the file, and then just go here and type PHP artisan migrate, and it should migrate the user table and the password reset. And we will not be using this one, but it's actually good to have them, you know. Alright, now as you can see, the migrations have done successfully. So now we can actually load up this and simply go to redirector folder, and then we go to public folder, and we should see the welcome page for Laravel. Alright. You should see the Laravel 5 logo here. I'm actually using an SSL protocol, so that maybe the cause of maybe not loading some fonts or anything. So yeah, let's just get ahead, and if you see this screen, it means everything worked and you're ready to code. The first thing we should do now is just simply go to the app folder, http, and you got the roots folder. Now this folder will actually contain all the roots in your application. The roots are actually the URL. It's actually where the URL is pointing at. So each root will actually point to a different function in a different controller. Okay. So let's say, to be honest, if you want to make work simple, you can use the slash as this one. So every time you actually put slash in the root, you're actually referring to this slash. So everything you put afterwards, it will need to be like something like this. Okay. So let's get ahead. We are now in public folder, and this slash, it's wherever it's gonna show when we are in the root of our application. If we actually set it to anything else, the slash will not do anything, but so will what we just typed. So this is how rooting works, and we will now be using like couple of roots. First of all, it's going to be the root with the method get. The root would also be the /1. Now this root will point to main controller and will point to the function show links, for instance. Now this is how the routes work. I will be just copying this one, and for instance we're going to be setting a parameter here like code, and we simply need to change the function here. Let's say redirect. Okay, now this is going to be the two basic functions we're going to be using today. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is simply create a main controller. So we have to go into the controllers folder and create a new file. We can actually use it this way, or we can just go to our command line and type PHP artisan make controller, and the name of the controller, which is going to be main controller. Alright, I pretty much fucked up. I'm not sure if unexpected end of file. Well, I don't remember the code now. Maybe if we go to documentation into the controllers, which can be found in the basics. Alright, we got PHP artisan make controller. It should work. I don't know where I got this error now. Which we are in the current directory. No way. Yeah. I just type whatever is in here. Change the control name to main controller. Now certainly it's an error of my composer, so never mind about it. Simply just go into documentation and copy the first example. Now this is how a controller works. Alright, so once we get the controller stuff, we simply have to create a new file. So let's name it main controller. Doesn't even let me create files. What the fuck? I'm not even able to create files in here. Maybe I got some misconfiguration in my Laravel project. So the weapon. Redirection. We got the PPHT docs controllers. I don't know, it doesn't even let me create a file from here. Even folders cannot be created. I don't know why. Maybe it's like a library from here. So yeah, simply copy this one. Name it main controller. That will actually allow us to change stuff here. So simply we'll actually need to copy this from the website and paste it here. Now this is a basic controller usage. So the first thing we're going to do is simply create a first function, which is going to be public function, and the name of the function, which is actually going to be show links. And we gotta create the other one, which is public function. I don't know if I'm writing it correct. I think so. Public functions redirect. I think I've typed in the redirect there. Yeah, that's the name. Alright, and the first thing we just gonna look for is the URL tables. Now this is where the links will be located at. So simply just go to our database and create a new table. Let's say and we will actually use an ID, a URL, and two basic parameters, so just go for 4. Let it just load. It will take some time, maybe. Now we should basically put an ID and make it auto increment with the primary attributes. Now a URL, which is going to be a text. Now the created ad, which is going to be timestamp, and updated ad, which is also going to be a timestamp. Alright, that one is going to be current timestamp as the default one. So let's just go ahead and save that. Now if you got some errors, just simply ignore them. That's because the primary key may be not defeated or anything. So let's just go for inserting some data. We're gonna just make a test for it. We're just gonna go into the Laravel, maybe the official one, that would be better. Yeah, I just copy this one, put the URL here. It's gonna go to laravel.com. And yeah, that pretty much works. Now what we need to do are actually just add one after the URL maybe. Let's just add one column, which is going to be for instance code, and it's going to be an entity. So simply save it. Now this code is going to be a random code. Let's say that one is too obvious. That one is good. If you don't put an entity and you want to be like random numbers and letters, you can actually put like a varchar of 10 maybe. Then simply edit the code here to be like random stuff. It will automatically truncate, so yeah, just doesn't even matter. Alright, we got our code here, and that code will be used for redirection stuff. Now what we need to do right now is simply just go into the Laravel project and simply go to the app file and create a new file here. Name it like links. I normally use the same name as our database, so it's this one, links over here, and we're gonna edit it with the. Alright. Now for this to work, simply go into the Eloquent getting started, located just here, and you can actually copy the table names here and paste it here. Simply change the table name to links, and change the class name to links as well. Now the next thing we're actually going to be looking for is simply editing the configuration of the application just to register a new alias. So simply copy the last one we got here, rename it to links, and simply put the direction of it, so it's a BP, and automatically it's the class, so it's links. Alright, now this is already configured now, and you can actually close this as well. Now we are into the main controller with the function of redirection. Now for this to work, first of all just need to set like a variable, for instance the link variable is going to be from the table links, where the code is the code, get the first result. So that's going to be our link. Then we will actually need to define this code before. So our function, we need to have this parameter, which is actually defined in the root here. That is the code. Now that we got our link, we can actually make a test for it. So if we put a die here, and maybe return link URL, it should return our URL. So we can actually make a test for it. We can actually just make like, if there is no link, return null link found. Alright, now let's just go ahead and try it. Alright, main controllers doesn't exist. Now this is because you have an error here, which needs to be defined the same name as the file name. Normally this is already done if you create the controller using the CMD stuff, but as I just copied the file, I just needed to change that. Alright, now no link found. That's because this code does not exist. Now if we go here and we copy this code over here, we paste it here, it should return the URL of this code, which is this one. Now that's basically all we actually need, because to make a simple redirect, we can actually just put an else here, and we are gonna be using a redirect. So in Laravel, I'm actually not sure the best way to redirect, but I think there's a function which is return redirect to. But I think you can actually set a root here. I'm not sure. Let's try it out. Link URL. This should actually go to laravel.com, and indeed it does. Now our redirection is actually done, and as you can see, if we type the code which is actually correct, it will automatically redirect into laravel.com. Now we can actually change this as our simple function we actually need. So let's just make some space here. Alright, the first thing we're gonna do now is simply into the simple show links function, we're gonna show all the current links. So first of all, create a variable links, and it's gonna be all of the links we got in our table. Now to show each one of it, simply just do an echo. Well, let's do for each links as link. Just echo like the link ID, and followed by simply make it simple one, which is gonna be ID, URL, followed by the link URL. Now created add, followed by the link created add. Alright, now just need to add a BR here so we can see it correctly. Now this is a simple code just to show all the links we currently got. So if we go to our root folder, we're actually going to see all the results from the table. Now we're gonna see the ID, the URL, and the created add. So if we add multiple redirections here, for instance, that one will actually go to the controllers, and we're gonna change the code, for instance, with starting with the 4. We are going to be looking at 2 different results here. Now this will actually list all the links you got in the database, so make sure you do it correctly and it can be seen, not in just one line here. Just make some space for it, and that's pretty much it. Now to create simple links, we're gonna need a new function, basically 2 new functions, if we want to be like projecting our stuff. So simply go to roots, create a new root, roots method get, and it's gonna be like create. Now we better put this stuff before. No, it's good after this. Root with 2 points here. Create, and that will actually give us the main controller show form. Now this function will actually show a form, and we will be able to work on it and just create a new link. Now we're gonna be creating a new root with the method post, and simply do like /create, the same one. And now we're gonna be changing the function, so it's gonna be main controller and create link. So that's basically all we need. Now we need to our main controller. We go here and we go to our public function show form. Now this one we will actually work with a build, so it's much more comfortable and not being made with echoes, which PHP means. So simply just go ahead and return a view which is going to be create a link, for instance, or maybe create, it's okay already. So now simply go into the redirector, which is my project, resources, views, and now we create one view here, which we can actually copy this one and rename it to, that's pretty much important, just rename it to create .blade. Now this is going to be our controller. .blade means we are actually using the blade template, but you can have the documentation on web page, so just look for it, and that's okay. And then this is going to return the view, create, and now we're going to make another function here. Its name is going to be create link. I think I've written this there. Yeah, it's create link here. Now this is like a function, and it will use the request as a request. Now to use this, we will actually need to import the request class here. Again, if we have created the class using the CMD stuff, it's already imported, but as we manually created it, we will actually need to add it there. So let's just go ahead and go to the request. Now you will see this one here. Simply copy it and use it here. Alright, now this will allow us to get the form data. So what we're going to be like getting is simply the URL, so it's going to be the request input URL. Alright, now for creating the link, we're going to be creating a new variable, which is going to be link equals to new links. The link URL is going to be URL. Now the ID is automatically added. Now the code will be randomly generated, so simply put like link code equals to the code, and we will now generate the code here. So the code is equal to a random number. I will just use numbers here, but you can actually generate like random string, you know. You can actually look for a random string generator in PHP. You will actually get some different functions here. You can just copy one, but yeah, in my case I would just be using numbers, and maybe it's the best solution. So it's going to be using a random number between 0 and 9. Basically just copy this code like enough times. I think we actually set it to 10 numbers, just this one. Now this code will need to be checked in order not to be repeated. So if let's make a check code. Now if there's any links where the code is the code, simply like just return an error, say server side error, please try again to generate a new code. Now this will actually kill the code, so now what we need to do now is simply go ahead and simply now that we saved the link, we now need save it, and you can return redirect to the main page, which is this one, and we'll be able to see the new link. Now we need to create a view now, so let's just go ahead into the views folder, which is located into the resources views. Now this is the create file. Now simply gonna be changing some stuff, for instance the title, create link. Yeah, we can actually use this style, create link, and we simply create a form. The method needs to be post, and we actually need to use the blade template to create a as field. Now this will actually create the token field to avoid cross-site request forgery, which is a kind of hacking method. So this will just protect your code. Now simply create an input, type text, and simply put like a placeholder, URL, and put a name URL here. Now simply create another input here, type submit, and the value, it's gonna be create link. Now that we got our link created, this will actually be the form which creates our link. So we can actually just do space here. Now we can actually go to the main controller, and instead of redirecting, maybe the best thing we can actually do is simply show the link URL. So in fact we can actually return string. So simply put a HTML code here and put the href equals to the, maybe the best thing I can actually do is simply with flipping. So let's go ahead. That was okay like before. Now create an href here. We can actually use this to get both of strings, and then the href is going to be the URL, which is going to be URL with a slash here. Now this will actually return as the current URL with the slash, which is this one, which is all of this at the moment. And then it will actually need to be like this plus the current code. So it's gonna be like slash and then the link code we just created. Now we just need to like visit link, and that will actually return us the full string for the link. Now in my case I'm using a secure protocol, so instead of URL I'm going to be using a secure URL. That will actually return me the HTTPS link instead of the HTTP itself. So in fact simply put it as you have. So it will actually be mostly URL instead of secure URL, but yeah, it's up to your server's settings. Let's go ahead and check for everything. Now we got an error in our main controller. Right, there we go. This one. Alright, now we will need to create, like, first of all, an echo here. Now this will actually give us the opportunity to go directly to a link creation. So let's create an ref like this. URL, secure URL in my case. /create link. Now this will actually allow us to simply press on a. I've got a problem here. Alright. Whoops. Now this is inside the for each, so it should be outside the for each. And it should be going here. Alright, now we got the create link stuff here. You can actually point it like 2 spaces here. Alright, we got create link, we got all the current links here. We can actually try it out, create link. Whoops, yeah, the error is common. That's because the root needs to be set before the code one. So let's go ahead and create a link. That'll give us the option to create link. Now let's try, for instance, the glue in here. Just paste it in and create link. Server-side request again to the code. Alright. That's actually quite strange because let's see what we are doing wrong here. Server-side error if links were code. Yeah, of course we need to get the first result here. Alright, let's try it out again. Simply create a new link here. Create a link. We got the basic link here, which you can actually see that if we open the new window, it's actually automatically redirected. And if we go to the main folder, we are going to see the new URL here. Now, if we go to the PHP Miami, we're going to see the same shit here with the random numbers generated here. Now, we can actually set like where how the links are displayed. We can actually set a basic link as well. We are gonna copy this one and put it here. Alright. Let's try it out. You should see a basic link on each of it. So just maybe space it. Alright. So if we visit this one, it's going to Laravel.com. If we're visiting this one, it's going to the controllers one. That one is actually going to Google one. So we can actually have a fully working, simple redirection system. Hope you enjoyed.